Hi there, Mark Lou Carrier welcoming you once again to my incredibly messy office, getting messier all the time. And today I'm going to read to you the third installment in the reading of an unpublished manuscript for a novel. I'm asking you to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down whether you think I should send it to my publisher or not. So here we are, the further adventures of Dr. Fanshawe, art specialist extraordinaire, in his new job at the massive, huge museum in San Dementia, California. Here we go. Wait a minute. That's better. Back at my desk, the phone rang. My assistant answered it and shouted from the outer office, "It's for you." I'd asked her numerous times to identify callers. Annoying people beset my phone line, wishing to sell me magazine subscriptions or calling from India to help me fix my unbroken PC. But she'd yet to pierce the mysteries of such arcane instructions. "Who is it?" I shouted, irritated. "A woman," came the answer. Since the only woman who ever called me at work was my wife, I shouted back, "Tell Horsey I'll call her back later." "It's not your wife, it's another woman." "Sounds like a Yank." Intrigued, I took the call. "Hello," I said tentatively. The voice at the end of the line was firm, all business, with what some would call a mid-Atlantic accent, although the wind seemed to be blowing more towards the American shores than the old continent. "Hi, this is Dr. Sybil Vane, director of the Alger and Elizabeth Paddock's Museum of Art and Antiquities." Rather foolishly, I said, "How do you do?" She continued without missing a beat. "I would very much like to meet with you, if that's possible." "Possible, yes, possible, quite possible." "You see, we will be moving into our new facility soon. We like to call it our museum campus, and a position has opened up as curator of drawings and prints. Of course, I thought of you." Of course, she thought of me? I could hardly believe she even knew of my existence, let alone consider me for such an important position. "I'm flattered," I said. "Yes, well, we were considering a number of people." My heart sank. She'd probably already decided on who should get the job, and she just wanted a run of interviews to conceal the nepotism. I knew how these things worked. Nonetheless, "So," she continued, "I'd like to see you, Azap." I very nearly corrected her by saying, "I'm sorry, my name is not Azap," but I quickly realized that she meant to wanted to see me as soon as possible. Azap. I assumed she was calling from somewhere in London, so I asked where she was staying. "Staying? I'm not staying anywhere. I'm calling you from San Dementia, California. I'd like you to fly over for an interview. Shouldn't take too much of your time." I wrongly assumed that they expected me to travel to America at my own expense, which I was not prepared to do. "Well, you see, I'm rather busy," I began. She cut me off rather sharply. "We're all busy. Just let me know when you're free, and I'll have my people email you a return ticket to L.A. Ah, well, that put a very different complexion on things. "Let me verify my agenda," I said, flicking noisily pages of the phone book as I spoke. "It seems like I have a few availabilities. I could certainly rearrange a few meetings, and—" "Good," she said, and we quickly settled on a date and time. I was to expect an e-ticket for a flight to California on American Airlines. A free flight to sunny California. I couldn't believe my luck. I decided to have a smoke to calm my excitement, opening the main doors to ascertain how much it was raining and whether or not I wanted a fag badly enough to get a little wet. Excuse me. I opted for the much-needed nicotine fix. doing my best to shelter under the small overhang of the door and holding up my collar to stave off the cool breeze. Would you believe it? I thought to myself, blowing clouds of smoke. A job offer from the Alger and Elizabeth Paddock's Museum of Art. But could I deal with a move to California? I peered up at the gray sky and wiped a few cold raindrops from my forehead and thought, yes, I could most certainly deal with a move to California. Sunny California. I celebrated with another fag. California, said Horsey. Quelle horreur! Horsey had come to this rather unflattering nickname due to her steadfast love of horses. I'd been mistaken in thinking that she was thus tagged for her uncanny resemblance to a horse. She had a long equine face, and her mouth presented an imposing set of choppers, large teeth that appeared to number far in excess of the standard 32. And to add to the equine similitude, her laugh was a whinny, and her hairstyle resembled a mane. There are legions of women who, for lack of physical graces, make themselves attractive through a bubbly personality, a kindly nature, or a great sense of humor. Alas, Horsey was bereft of any of these traits, being of a rather ungenerous and nasty disposition. And yet, after a visit to her family's estate and a quick mental calculation of what her mater and pater were worth, I began to perceive Horsey's barely perceptible charms. She, in fact, had a great deal of what I valued most, namely pounds sterling, US dollars, and Swiss francs. The deal was clinched when Papa Home Chumley hinted that if I should pursue my courtship of his daughter to its logical conclusion, bear with me, read marriage, he would be disposed to hand me the job of director and curator of the family museum, wink, wink, nod, nod. I concluded that her parents were anxious to get her out of the door and out of their hair. I had no experience in making proposals of marriage, but I got the gist of it from the movies. Thus, decked out in my best suit, I approached Horsey, and as she was grooming one of her favorite horses in the stables, I said, "Oh, hello," she said, continuing to brush the gleaming animal. "What brings you here?" "I'm on a personal mission," I said, dropping to my knees, too late and too abruptly to avoid dropping into a pile of steaming horse manure, which I should have seen as an omen. "What are you doing?" "I'm at your feet, my dear," I began, patting my pockets to find the small box containing the ring I'd purchased for the price of 3 months' salary at Sodding's, "to ask you to become my wife." "Oh, dear," she said, visibly underwhelmed by the ring. "What does Daddy have to say about all this?" "He's quite ecstatic." "Is he?" "Oh, yes." "Then I guess I should marry you," she said after a short pause and without enthusiasm. The ceremony and celebration would take place at Knackersfield, the Home Chumley family estate. The grounds held a quaint old chapel, allegedly built by Ethelred the Unready. "Ethelred, we're off to the Crusades. Are you ready?" Yes, I'll be with you in a minute. It's just this damned armor." That's it for today. Now, the marriage ceremony is crazy. And that's the next chapter I'll be reading you. So tune in for that too. Subscribe. And visit my website at www.markluccarrier, that's Mark with a C, LUCCARRIER.com. And there you'll find information on my book that is now currently on the market called Homing. I think you might enjoy that one too. And stay tuned for the next episode where Dr. Fanshawe marries Horsey in a madcap ceremony. See you then.